Hare Krishna. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Savadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapt Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaur Tushe Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Shri Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna. So today we want to talk briefly about how do we actually develop a quicker way of developing deeper absorption in Krishna. Quicker way of developing deeper absorption in Krishna. So deriving from one of the lectures by His Grace Keshwananda Prabhu in this regard, and also some verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22. So there is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 22, verse 151. Chapter 22, verse 151. So, in simple terms, actually, when we think about Krishna consciousness, we end up thinking without even actually without even thinking. If we don't try to understand it properly, we actually can get attracted towards, even without our knowing, can sideline the aspect that Krishna is a person. So we are looking for Krishna consciousness, but this consciousness is about this person. So when we actually talk about a person, right? We talk about, do we say that I was completely I want to be, we think about the legs of devotional service, we think that it is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, like that. And so Smaranam is essentially absorption, because Smaranam is remembering. And so we may also end up thinking that our goal is absorption in Krishna. And that seems to be the understanding as we look at some of the verses of the Gita, where Krishna says that Mai eva mana adhatsva mai buddhim niveshaya. He says the highest pinnacle of devotional service is that your mind is completely absorbed in me and your intelligence is completely invested in me. Mayeva mana adhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivashyassi mayeva ata urdhvam na samshaya. Then you will surely come to me. Or man mana bhava mad bhakto, again always think of me. Or even Rupa Goswami saying that the essence of all principles is never forget Krishna, always remember Krishna. So it seems like the goal is complete absorption in Krishna. It's clear that the goal is complete absorption in Krishna. But there is a very interesting verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 22, verse 151, in which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that the actual goal, actual primary characteristic of loving Krishna, Raga, loving Krishna, is, you will see this verse, chapter 22, verse 151. The primary characteristic of spontaneous love is deep attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and absorption in thought of Him is a marginal characteristic. Ishte Gada Trishna Rage, Ragera Swarupa Lakshana, Ishte Avishtata Ei Tatastha Lakshana. So he actually says here that the primary characteristic of spontaneous love is deep attachment. Absorption in thought of Him is a marginal characteristic, Tatastha Lakshana. So yes, we are looking for absorption in Krishna. We are looking for full smaranam, deep smaranam of Krishna. But actually that will be a tatastha lakshan. That means you can say it will become like a side effect. But the primary goal which we should aspire for is actually deep attachment for the Supreme Personality of God. And here again the point of that, it is, we understand that, my Lord, you are a person. So with a person, you actually develop deep attachment. That is the goal. The Vrajvasis are actually deeply attached to Krishna, and absorption comes as a result of that. Not the other way around, that they are going for absorption. And that's where the difference, aiming for just absorption can be the yoga process. Right? Can be okay, and jnana and yoga. Jnana means, yes, I want to gain knowledge. And then yoga a process can be like, okay, I want to be completely absorbed and not distracted. We may end up taking our practice also that way. That we want to be absorbed in Krishna. My mind should not be distracted. And we know that Prabhupada said that keep hearing the mantra. But we have to understand also that, yes, we want to hear the mantra. But actually, if we go about in just thinking, I want to hear here only, if that is being thought about in a mechanical way like that, then that just becomes a process like the yoga process, where, I just want to be completely, not be distracted. Just like that, I am hearing the mantra, I don't want to be distracted. That's good, but at the same time, we have to understand that this process of chanting is a process of calling to that person Krishna. And he is listening to this. So we understand that our primary goal, my point is, our primary goal needs to get to attachment to Krishna. That is the primary characteristic that we have to, that is a primary goal. It's a primary characteristic of the Vajvasis, and that's on our side, we don't have that characteristic, but we have to keep that as the goal in our mind. And we have to understand that absorption will be a side effect. So our goal is we keep it as attachment. So if we think in terms of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, we will see that Smaranam, absorption, will come. Smaranam is nothing but absorption. This absorption actually will come, this primary thing will come as a marginal characteristic. So, but our goal that we should primarily keep in mind is attachment, developing attachment. So we, in our process, in our sadhana bhakti, we're trying to do Shravana, we should try to do our Kirtanam in a way that we develop attachment for the Lord. Kirtanam should be done in a way to develop attachment for the Lord. And this Kirtanam comes, how do we develop the attachment? Will come from the Shravanam. Yeah. So if we do the Smaranam properly, then we will be able to, the Shravanam, yes. Shravanam, that means the hearing. If we end up doing the Shravanam properly, then we will be able to, we should do Shravanam in a way which will do, by which we can do the right Kirtanam to develop attachment for the Lord. And that attachment will automatically lead to right absorption or Smaranam of the Lord. And this Shravanam essentially should not be only just about the philosophy, because here we're talking about the person. We're not just talking about we're talking about the person. So in a person, you just don't develop like, oh, I will always keep thinking about you. If you are developing attachment to that person, then you'll always, you will end up thinking about him. And developing attachment to that person is the way you develop attachment is not just thinking about the philosophy. Oh yeah, there's bhumi rapo nalova yukam manobuddhirevacha, and like that we are thinking about that I am not this body, all of that, and distinction between matter and spirit. All of this is philosophy. So a lot of times we do, and we have to talk and understand about philosophy. That is true. It is required. But the key point is to develop, you think about any other person. If you think about your father, you don't only think about that, yes, this is, you only don't think about that. What does your father, you are not only thinking about things like what does he manufacture in his factory, let's say, or you do, or you're not just thinking about that, what is his blood sugar level, etc. So there are, you are thinking, if you only think about that okay, these are the products he manufactures in his factory. That's not your absorption in your father. When you think about your father or any other person, what do you think about? You think about, oh, what does he look like? Or you think about, oh, he's so good in doing this, he's so good in that. I really like it when he does something like this. I really like it when he, that he's so caring, right? I really like it that he's so kind, he's so understanding. And then you remember instances when he exhibited those qualities. When this happened, he did like this, he did like that. My friend, or you think about your friend, my friend, at that point of time, he actually helped me, and I'm so grateful to him for that, like that. So if you think about, when we think about a person, we automatically think about their good qualities, and we think about how they exhibited those good qualities in taking care of us or in taking care of other people, etc., like that. And that is already, in that it already includes what they look like, etc. So you think about, when you think about a person, you think about, you think about their name, their form, how they look like, and their qualities and their activities. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. You cannot think of becoming attached to a person, and you cannot think of becoming absorbed in a person unless you understand and become absorbed in the Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Leela. So this is what we need to be. Now our problem is I'm getting distracted and all of those things are happening, right? I'm not becoming deeply absorbed. The reason is I'm not attached to the Lord. And the reason I'm not attached to the Lord is because I'm not doing this process of hearing about Him, not just in terms of the philosophy, but about Him as a person, about His qualities, about His pastimes, about how He looks like. If I truly develop that, gradually develop that interest in that, in His Rupa, Guna and Leela, then I will automatically start becoming attached to the Lord, and that will lead to the absorption. Okay, so that's the point which we are trying to make, that let us spend right now, the reason actually we are not attracted to the Lord, we are not attached to the Lord, is because actually it is said that because we are envious of Him. We are actually envious of Him. That's what Keshwandru was saying in the lecture, that we're actually envious of Him. That is why we do not want to spend any time to actually hear about Him as a person. What did He do? How did He do this? Wow, what good qualities He has. What does He look like? We do not want to hear, we do not want to spend any time in here because we are envious of Him. And so, how to get rid of this envy? Do this process as a practice. Abhyasa yogena tato. As a practice, like that. And that can be our rule. That can be our Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. That we, with the goal of raga nuga bhakti, we have this Vaidhi sadhana bhakti where we are saying, I will hear about the pastimes of the Lord. That's why Prabhupada gave that instruction. Every night before sleeping, read about Krishna book. What is Krishna book? Krishna book is not about philosophies of Krishna book, is about the pastimes of the Lord. And if we do that, then we can actually gradually develop that attachment to the Lord. And this is the goal. So we practice sadhana bhakti, but the goal is to develop raga. The goal is raganuga bhakti. And that will have, and that's what Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami says in this particular chapter. He's describing raganuga bhakti. He's saying raganuga bhakti is where the devotees of Vrindavan actually become you see the name raga itself, they have developed attachment to the Lord. They have developed attachment to the Lord, and absorption is a side effect. And their attachment, in their case, they've already realized what they are in their eternal swarupa. And so they are people who, the advanced bhaktas have already realized that, and they try to practice remembering or, their relationship of the Lord in that particular siddha deha, or in their particular, how they already know how they, whether they are, are a cow or a gwala or a gopi or whatever, in a certain relationship with the Lord. So internally they actually remember that, and then aksharally they are doing shravanam kirtanam. So that is the case of an advanced devotee, that they are already at that level. In our case, we are not. We're not at that level. We don't know what is our relationship with the Lord. We don't know our rupa that way. So what are we supposed to do? But we also have our goal of developing attachment to the Lord. We also have our goal of developing that raga. How do you do that? Which will automatically lead to absorption and will stop our distraction. How do you do that? Is by doing our shravanam in a way. Not just do kirtanam, it is sankirtanam, which means it's shravanam and kirtanam. Sankirtanam, shravanam and kirtanam, in a way by which we'll develop attachment to the Lord. And that will happen if we are investing our time every day in hearing about Krishna as a person. So, by hearing his pastimes, every day reading the Krishna book or any other pastime book of the Lord, where we are So we gradually develop more and more, more and more information in a way, and then more and more automatically absorption will happen in the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela of the Lord. So we don't just chanting the name, but then that will remain just a mechanical process. But we are also, before the chanting, we are absorbed in hearing of the Rupa, Guna, and Leela of the Lord. If we more and more we do that Rupa, Guna, and Leela hearing of the Lord, then the chanting, which is will of the name of the Lord, will actually evoke within us the proper smaranam, the proper, of the Lord, where the smaranam will happen. The chanting will lead to smaranam. Chanting is supposed to lead to smaranam, but it is not happening because we are not spending time in proper shravanam, which is hearing about the Rupa, Guna, and Leela of the Lord. So that's the essence which I wanted to cover here. Remember that Lord Krishna is a person, the sweetest person, the perfect person, and our goal is to develop deep attachment to the Lord. This is the goal. Our goal is Mai Eva Mana is basically Mai Asakta Mana Partha. We have to become Asakti. We have to develop finally obviously love of God, and that means that will come from developing deep attachment to the Lord, Asakti. So our goal is to develop attachment to this person. How do you develop attachment to this person? You cannot do so unless you spend time in hearing about his, in hearing, not just hearing his name. We talk about hearing his name, but actually before hearing his name while we're chanting, we should hear his Rupa, Guna, and Leela also. If we start hearing his Rupa, Guna, and Leela, then while hearing his name, we'll be able to properly hear his name also. And that will lead to true deep attachment to the Lord, which will automatically lead to smaranam of the Lord, which is the ultimate goal, as Rupa Goswami has said. So deep attachment will lead to deep absorption, and deep attachment will happen if we are hearing every day, realizing Krishna is a person, remembering Krishna is a person. He is here, he is there, he is here, and we need to be able to hear his Rupa, Guna, and Leela on a very regular basis. Along with the philosophy, also hear the Rupa, Guna, and Leela. And then gradually, the understanding that Krishna is a person will go more and more within. The absorption in Krishna as a person will go more and more within. And we will then lead to the ultimate goal of complete absorption and complete love for Krishna. Loving devotional service will automatically happen if we have developed this attachment for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.